Hi there, I'm Chef Eric Crowley, owner of the Culinary Classroom in West Los Angeles, and today I'm going to show you how to cut a chicken supreme. A supreme of chicken is basically a boneless chicken breast. The skin is kept on. Also, the upper portion of the wing bone is left attached. So a whole chicken is really the only way that you can prepare one of these. You'll often see these in, I typically still see them in a lot of high-end restaurants. You'll also, if you wind up reading a little bit of recent food history back 20 years ago or so, they used to call this an airline breast because this is the type of chicken breast that you would wind up getting on an airline flight. And in fact, in even some bigger hotels, it may still be called that. We are going to start off with our whole chicken. And I'm going to start by cutting off the tip of the wing and the center joint of the wing. This is often called the flat, and this is called the tip. I'm going to cut this guy away, lay the chicken out on its back, going to bring the wing on out, and I'm going to cut through the skin a little bit because I want to expose the joint where the flat meets up with the upper portion or the drumstick section of the wing, and cut right in between the cartilage and the bone like that. Okay? If you have to struggle while you're making this cut, chances are you're cutting too far to the left or too far to the right. You want to cut right in between the cartilage like this. This you can save and use for chicken stock. Okay? And the next step now is we start to identify the breast itself, which is right here. Running right along the center of the breast is a big section of bone along with some cartilage called the keel bone. And I'm going to take off this breast, so I actually have to start cutting on this side of the breastbone. I like to utilize a boning knife. It has a really nice long edge to it, and I'm going to utilize the whole length of the blade to cut through the skin, and I can feel this bone running just on the other side of my knife. Cut through the skin and down to the breastbone. And you can feel the knife hit that bone right down in there. We're also going to, I'm going to cut through the skin right along here and finish cutting the skin up here. And you can see very easily you can take your opposite hand and kind of peel the meat back a little bit. And I'm going to come in with the tip of the knife, and it's almost like a whittling motion. I'm going to start to basically carve the meat off of the bone and pull the meat back as I continue to do that. Got a nice set of tiny rib bones that are just underneath this thin layer of meat. This is the breastbone right along here. And as I continue to cut up towards the top, or the shoulder here, you can see this big white piece of connective tissue. We're going to cut through that, and this connective tissue is basically laying right up against the top part of the wing joint along, and also lying up against the shoulder of the chicken. I'm going to cut through that, and then after I cut that piece of little connective tissue away, you can easily see where the top part of the wing joint meets up with the shoulder. I'm going to cut this right down onto my cutting board, cut right in between that joint, and free that guy up like that. Now really the only thing that's keeping the chicken breast attached to the bird itself is really just some skin that's coming right along in here, and I'm going to wind up taking my knife and I'm going to cut through this skin and cut right along in here and start to free up the breast from the bird itself. Cut through that skin. Grab a hold of that wing bone and get it out of the way. Cut straight down onto my cutting board. And this is your boneless chicken breast with the skin attached, also known as a chicken supreme. We do have a little bit of trimming to do. One of the things that you'll see underneath the chicken, sometimes it falls right away, is what's called the chicken tender, or tenderloin basically. I wind up saving that for something else. Have a good layer of fat typically up on the shoulder section of the chicken. I usually will trim that out and discard that fat. Okay. Make sure we have got a nice layer of skin laying all the way around the breast. If you've got some extra skin along here, you can trim that out. And the main reason why this is done a lot in some restaurants is because the guest winds up getting a little extra portion of meat. And also when this winds up going onto the plate, it's just a little bit different of a plating style than you would wind up seeing with a typical boneless, skinless chicken breast. And that is how you cut a chicken supreme. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you can get some additional information. If there's a recipe that you would like to see me make, feel free to send an email to requests@mahalo.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.